Good morning. This is Phoenix Amori. It is September 29th, 2014, and I'm veering off course just a little bit because I had a client ask me a question that I feel is so important to answer. And what she asked me was, how is it that I remain so calm and detached about some of the situations I've been in with relationships? Now, in all fairness, what I call the old me used to shut down for a day or two if there was some kind of conflict. And I really wanted to dive into why that was, and I started thinking about it as I took my hiatus from dating. I think a lot of times women link their whole identity to a man, and I feel like that is what kind of society has basically pushed us towards. I mean, if you watch fairy tales, it's always the damsel in distress waiting for the prince to save her. It's embedded in us that a guy is supposed to quote unquote save us by commercial type, fairy tales and all that. But when you split from that and you take the time to look at it from a spiritual perspective, what you kind of realize is that your strongest foundation is really supposed to be God or the higher power. And they say that in church, but I don't think people really get what that often means, because you also have the confusing aspect when they say it's good, not good for man to be alone, and man's supposed to pick a wife. And yes, all that is true, but it also stresses how each person is supposed to have their strongest foundation in God. Because think about it. Let's say people end up in a relationship. You have two people. If that man falls apart, what happens to a relationship if he's always the one that's supposed to be the strong one? If you get sucked into the vortex of when he falls to pieces, then what happens with that relationship? Then that household is totally ruined. So that's why it talks about the foundation needing to be God. If you think about it in a logical sense, it makes perfect sense. Um, and with that being said, is I feel like when I talked about before being, a lot of egos in men, and I think they've lost sight of their role. I feel like again that a lot of time men have become gods in their minds. Like, I mean, I hear a lot of men talk about the ratio of men to women, and as you hear more things out of the mouths of a lot of men, you kind of realize like that's the stuff that a lot of them think about. Well, there's a whole lot more women to men, and da 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 da. And with that attitude, guess what? They feel like they can just, replace you just like that. And they probably can. So the only thing you can do is be the best person that you should be and focus on yourself a lot of the times. Because what I want to say is, I say be detached, but I don't say that you don't love. Because what clicked to me is when I realized when it said, God loves us, but will leave us to our own vices. So if God can still love you and leave you to yourself, then a woman needs to learn to do the same when it comes to a guy. Because at the end of the day, you can get sucked into the vortex with whatever vices they may have, and you have to let it go. As I say, let go, let God. That's what I finally learned. Because God will leave us to ourselves, and let us have to learn our lessons, and keep it moving. And love is just the same. And so I really encourage more women to kind of really think about that on a deeper level. Again, this is not about this being some feminist activist thing. This is just me trying to help people understand how to deal better with their emotions. So look forward to sharing more videos. Take care.